Let's meet our next change-making artist, a singer whose unique voice has sold millions of records around the world. She is a songwriter, technological innovator, environmentalist and an actress. She is, of course, Björk. Her new album is called Utopia. It's a work that she's described as optimistic and that critics have called exceptionally beautiful. When I spoke to Björk from Reykjavik, she told me what utopia means to her.
I just like that word, both the good things about it, but also the sort of baggage and cliche that word has, because it sort of gently makes fun of that element in human nature where we're always dreaming of the ideal, and then some of it comes true and some of it doesn't, and how we deal with that. Maybe it makes us the people we are in how we combine the reality and the sort of utopia or our dream. During the making of the album, Trump got elected and obviously Brexit happened, and we had similar issues in Iceland, maybe not as severe, but it seemed like if there ever was a time where you needed to define your utopia, it's now. And for me, for example, when Trump resigned from the Paris Climate Accord was catastrophic for me and the world. And in a way, you could say the Paris Climate Accord is a utopia if we all hold hands and decide to go green tech and change the infrastructure, especially of our cities, for our grandchildren. And so I think if there ever was a moment where it was emergency for us to sit down and write down the recipe of our utopias, it's now.
And someone described, and I like this description, your vision of utopia as putting humanity in harmony with nature. Is that what you're trying to do?
I think we all do that every day, just by walking around with our phones and texting our loved ones and walking to work or listening to music on our phones or downloading things. It's everywhere. Every time a new technology arrives, we all have this kind of discussion, like, okay, how can we do it and still stay human? Is there soul in it or isn't there soul in it? And the morality of it, is it right or is it wrong? I think we're all having that conversation every day, like where does the human meet with technology? And we always solve the riddles, sometimes a little bit too late, but we learn. And I think if we have the money and the infrastructure and the tech know-how to change in millions or even billions from iPhone 6 to 7, I think we can all change from oil to green tech. We really should be making that jump now.
Even that statement is optimistic, and there is a sense of optimism about the album. Do you feel optimistic about the state of the world?
Obviously, I worry like everybody else. I was devastated when Trump resigned USA from the Paris Climate Accord. But I think having 6 younger siblings and being the oldest, then being a mom really young and having 2 kids, I think it's just a reflex or an instinct to say, okay, let's come up with a plan. How can we tackle this? And I think it's a very natural maternal instinct.
You've spoken out on Twitter recently about being sexually harassed while acting in a film, and now that so many people have spoken out, are you hopeful that that culture's changing?
Yeah, I really feel so. It was actually this week in Iceland that 500 women politicians stood forth with a statement, and it really feels like something is really changing. And it was just really actually more interesting in a way to now not to hear the women's stories, but the men's stories, how they feel pressured. We were stuck in roles, but they're just as much stuck in roles they're playing. And I also feel with the next generation of boys that's growing up now, they're just really open and emotional, which is, I think, very healthy. Because I think that's where part of the problems came from, is men are told to not be emotional for 30 years, and then all hell breaks loose because they're not emotional. So they're getting really like confusing messages, I think, from the culture. But you could argue, of course, it's a culture that they made. But I really think there's a big change happening. And I felt that I wanted to contribute because I think when you want things to change or a revolution to happen or something to get done, you can't just sit and watch. And I'm glad I did it because I have a young daughter and I'm very aware of what sort of world she's going to grow up into.
The Icelandic musician Björk, an artist who's changed the world not just through her work, but also through speaking out for the causes she believes in.